All right, we've got our batten cutting setup ready to go. I'm going to use an offcut from the end of the part here because we've already got these two faces squared, but I went ahead and marked them to make sure that I didn't use the wrong face when I was moving things around. This is going to take 2 clamps. If you just have 1 clamp, it's going to want to pivot if you push against it very hard. Drop a chisel into the knife line and move the part up to the chisel. And the reason I did the backside first is now it's likely going to pivot on this point where I've got pressure while I adjust it, and I don't want it to move out of adjustment when I do the other side. So we're looking pretty good there. Put our second clamp on. Make sure they're not hanging over the edge of the face here. Okay, now we're ready to cut. I want to make sure we don't go past our baseline. So I'm going to darken this up. And then I'm just going to put light pressure on the plate against that batten and let the saw slide. And every time my saw binds in a cut, I find it's because I'm squeezing it too hard. So just relax your hand. Let the saw do the work. Let the weight of the saw do the work. Now I'm down to my baseline on both sides, but a lot of times there's a bit of a hump in the middle, so I'm going to take the toe of the saw and I'm just going to remove a little extra material in there. The next step is to figure out which leg goes on this side and clamp it in place. So what I want to do is clamp this part and I want to press it up against this batten. And in this instance, it's not a problem if the clamp is hanging over on this side. We just don't want it to interfere with this side when we clamp this batten up here. I want to make sure I'm pretty tight. Okay, I can pull this off. So I've got it up nice and tight. My square face is the one that's against it. And so I can pull the clamp off here. Eat the middle out a bit. Then I'm going to make one extra cut right down the middle just to make it easier to clear the waste out. So the next step is to knock the waste out of this opening. It's important to work your way in from both sides. If you just come straight out the bottom, you're going to blow that edge out and you're going to have a bad looking edge. And you want to take your time here. Don't try to take all the depth in one pass. We're going to finish this up with a router plane, so you don't have to get all the way to the bottom of the cut. We're pretty close to our final depth here, and if you want to, you can continue to pare this by hand with a good sharp chisel, or you can get out a router plane and finish it off with that, which is what I'm going to do next. I've got my router plane set up to take a nice shallow pass, and that's what router planes are good for. They're not made for hogging out material. That's what your chisel and your mallet are for. So I'm going to basically just set this thing in here and pivot it into my material to get it started, and then I can just drive it through. And I'm only going to go halfway, and then I'll come from the other side, pivot it in, all right, we'll lower it down, take another bite. Okay, hold our part up here and see if it'll drop in place, and it should be a little tight. I'll take that, that's good.